I tell people, and this is sometimes to my fault, but I rather ask for forgiveness, don't ask for permission. I rather have someone being brave and going forward than standing still and not doing anything.
Welcome to another fabulous episode, my lovely people of the B2B Sales Trends Podcast, the show that brings you hacks, tips, thought leadership to the topic of B2B selling. My name is Kendlbacher, and today's episode is all about how do we get a coaching culture into our sales organization. And I'm particularly pleased that today we have a really cool expert who knows a lot about the topic, which is Andre Schindler. Andre is the GM of EMEA and SVP of Global Sales at NinjaOne. Welcome to the B2B Sales Trends Podcast, Andre.
Hi, Harry. Thank you so much for having me. Really glad to be here.
Fabulous. Thank you for making time. Andre, share with us a little bit about your role, what your day-to-day looks like, leading a global sales or leading the global sales organization at NinjaOne.
Yeah, happy to. Maybe I quickly start with what we're at NinjaOne doing. We automate the hardest parts of IT, actually. So this is anything around the endpoint. We own the endpoints of the IT world, meaning IT, be it laptops, be it mobile phones, be it PCs, be it servers, anything that needs to be monitored is what we're doing, and we're also securing that endpoint. From my personal perspective, I am number one GM for EMEA, so I run all of the operations for the company, not just the sales team, but my night job is VP or SVP of Global Sales, and I'm overseeing the SDR function, meaning all of the lead generation. I'm overseeing the post-sales globally, meaning all of the cross-selling, retention, and everything. And then specifically for the EMEA part, I also own the new business side, meaning new customer acquisition across SMB and enterprise, actually.
So just a couple of things on your daily agenda, as it sounds like. Thank you for a fabulous episode. You are one busy man, hence we're super pleased that you can make time today. You know, Andre, we talked in our pre-call a little bit about the fact that culture is real key, and culture is, really should be seen as a sales driver. And you lead diverse teams across different regions, EMEA, US, APAC, and so forth.
Yes.
What role does culture really play in keeping those teams successful?
Yes. I think culture is an absolute fundament, or it's a foundation of any performance, be it in sales or be it in any other department. If you don't have that foundation of having a good team coherence, and this is led by the culture in a company, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing on a global scale. See this as kind of a shared language across the company, especially when you're dealing with a lot of regions. Cultures actually are very different, and then the culture of your company allows you to kind of glue everything together. It's kind of unifying diverse perspectives, and if you want to drive one mission together, you need to be able to give them the folding structure around it that gets everything together. This is not just for the current team. Think about this also the foundation for any scaling that you're doing, right. Especially have very, very competitive markets. No.
Culture is absolutely key. I like to take that, obviously across the different countries in Europe and APAC and so forth, you have different cultures within different countries anyway. But to overarch that with your company culture and sort of support that individual country culture to sort of then is led by one mission, that's a nice way of doing it. Really nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We talked a little bit about the idea of then amongst that culture to bring sort of a coaching mindset and skill set in. And I know that you're overseeing a lot of different, functions, especially in sales, SDRs, pre-sale, post-sale teams, and all these wonderful functions. How do you approach coaching across these different departments or functions? And what impact have you seen in sort of coaching having on their performance, so to speak? Is it a real key thing you think in those processes, that coaching element?
Yes, very, very much a key function, I would say. It's one of the hardest things that we're doing as managers or leaders, but I think it's absolutely important to actually do that. We have on one hand, as managers, we're kind of tending or have the tendency to just give answers. It's quick, it's fast. We're in a super fast business, so just here's your answer, get out the door, just get it done, come back later. Which is great in the moment, but it doesn't scale the business at all.
Right.
So if you want to have employees and colleagues who can critically think, who can be self-reliant, that you want to empower them to actually do stuff on their own, you need to give them the possibility to grow. And a coaching mindset enables that. And what do I mean by that? So if I don't give them the answer, but I ask them questions so that they can develop their own answer. Number one, maybe the answer is better than the one you would give them.
Right.
I think it is a mistake to assume that the answer we're giving them is actually the correct one. They're in the field, so they may be no better. And on the other hand, maybe we coach them in the right answer, and they can come back with, you know what, you're right. Just do it your way. And maybe next time when they're coming to you, they already have an answer. So you only need to say yes and no. This is generally, I would say, the approach when we're trying to coach people, that eventually over a couple of weeks or months, you're building a trust and a foundation that they can. What I love when an employee comes to me after a couple of weeks and says, I have this problem. I know what you will ask me. Here's the answer, and this is what I would do. And then I just need to say, yes, you're absolutely right. I love that. Let's do that.
Love it.
That's really self-reliance that we're trying to get there. No.
And that's really cool, because it really gives people then sort of, for lack of a better term, to own the problem, to sort of the license to, okay, first I've got to challenge myself, then I got to challenge the topic and the current assumptions, and leadership is giving me the platform to bring these new ideas to the table, and it allows me, or challenges me really, to think through the different elements of that, and even what could be the pushbacks and what could be the objections from Andre. And now I'm even answering that myself. That's a great way of doing it.
Yep, 100% yes. Yeah. And I think especially nowadays, and we always have that discussion about generational differences, and I know we had the whole Gen Z, Gen X, or something like that, which in all fairness, I don't necessarily believe into it. Every generation wants to be part of the thing that they're actually doing, and coaching enables them to be part of it. Yeah. We're not just telling them, we're making them part of the solution, and I think that's super important.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We're doing a lot of projects around this cross-generational communication within an organization now, because you have all these different gens, and they're all are driven by different things. And how do we have the confidence and the courage, in a way, to also challenge leadership with some ideas, some different thinkings of what we have? And that's really how you get buying, by giving people that sort of platform to do it.
Yeah, and I personally think and I think every generation has that, and it's the benefit of the youth, I would say, that they have the energy.
Right.
So let's make sure that the energy is funneled in the right direction, and give them a platform to be successful. Certainly supporting them. I mean, this is the whole idea that we call this internally, we call this servant leadership, meaning we're there to actually enable them to be successful. And what better way as coaching and mentorship do we actually have to give them for exactly the next generation to be successful?
Now, you've grown really quickly as an organization. How do you keep that culture that you've just described consistent? Yes. You're adding new people, you're hiring left, right, and center, you're expanding into new regions and so forth. That scaling element of that culture must be challenging. How do you do that?
Yeah, very, very much. And I would say you're trying your best, and you will fail, and then you will help yourself to make it better.
Right.
This is always a hard part, the scaling side. I think at the beginning it starts with hiring. You need to find the right people.
Right.
I think it's an old adage just to say hire for attitude, train for knowledge, and I would say this is exactly the same here. If you hire the wrong people with the wrong attitude that doesn't fit into your culture, it will not work. And you will never coach someone on the culture necessarily. You need to find the right people. I would say for every manager in any position, hiring should always be your number one priority, if you're scaling or not, but
Yeah.
especially when you're scaling, find the right people for it. And then when you're scaling, don't make the mistake that you're putting the wrong people into management position. Always a good saying, always the best salespeople don't necessarily make the best managers. Try to find the right leaders who actually can help you scale. And maybe that person who is a great salesperson, they maybe think they want to be sales leaders,
Yeah.
but more often or not, they actually don't want to be. There's typically something else behind it. So find motivation of people, why they do something.
Yeah, we actually find exactly the same thing. For being excellent, an excellent salesperson doesn't necessarily mean that you're an excellent manager, because, and when you promote these people to the next level, what do? They come in and rescue the deal at the last minute, which again makes it dependent on any one individual, and that's not scaling it.
Right.
Just because they know that they're so great at that, and I can do this better than anybody else, so let me come and save the day here. That's not scaling behavior here.
And if we're going to back what we said earlier, typically the best salesperson tries to tell other people what they should be doing, and that's not what we're doing. We're coaching. So we're actually trying to figure out the path of the next person, how they would approach this. And there's the fundamentals. We do spin selling, we do medic, whatever kind of framework you want to use, but every salesperson needs to find their own voice within the framework, and it's about developing that voice, not kind of plastering something over it and saying you do exactly that and only that.
Yeah, good. Sounds like you have a good process set, although you are using two of our competitors, but I'm not going to say that out loud. That's good. No, it all has a good place. So how do you, that's interesting. How do you then, you have people step up into those leadership roles? By scaling so fast, you can't always count on people having years and years of experience before you promote them. How do you identify who is ready, and how do you prepare them to really take that sort of leadership responsibility in their new day-to-day?
Yeah, so we do this actually quite early on. People get typically small little leadership tasks at the beginning, not holding the title officially, but they may be leading a charge on a project, and we're seeing kind of how they're reacting and how they're feeling in that situation. So there's number one, really give them small opportunities to test that before. And ideally over time, and if you do this early enough, then you can actually scale with this. It shouldn't be necessarily okay, now you're a leader and now I train you. It should be the person naturally is already in the position to an extent, and we're just adding the title on top of it and maybe giving them a little bit more room. But very typically an organization kind of organizes themselves if you give them enough room to actually do that. Secondly, and independent if they're already doing the job and they have the title or not, give them a safe space that they can actually fail. No leader is perfect, especially not in the beginning. And we need to coach them too. It's yes, we're telling them something or we're training them, but at the end, we're also coaching our leaders. They need to grow very quickly, but that means they make mistakes, and people should be able to make mistakes. I see this very often in organizations that they're just with a very hard hammer, just directly faced as, okay, you're not good enough, we're not doing that, and stopping the project. We all make mistakes. And it should be part of the culture to be able to make mistakes. And we can also tell our employees when they have a new leader that, look, have a heart. That leader tries to have a heart with you. Please understand that mistakes happen from time to time. No.
Right, absolutely.
And maybe to add that too, encourage autonomy, I think, is also important. They should be able to do stuff on their own. Very often we give them such a tight framework that they can't do anything.
Right.
I tell people, and this is sometimes to my fault, but I rather ask for forgiveness, don't ask for permission. I rather have someone being brave and going forward than standing still and not doing anything.
I love to ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission. I always say, be proactive. I'm going to apologize later.
Exactly.
That's right. Same thing. It's interesting, your coaching mentality in your culture, shall I say. I think it's clearly from what you said, it's like a red thread throughout the organization, which is a really cool thing. And not a lot of companies are doing that to that extent. So congratulations. And you've also mentioned that, that customer centricity is a real important element within that culture. And NinjaOne is known for being customer centric. And you've also emphasized that focusing on employees, and you've highlighted this just now a few times, is really important. How do you strike that balance across your global teams, across those elements?
Yes. So I definitely want to emphasize that customer centricity or customer happiness is absolutely a key part for us. And we're actually measuring that, just how well we are rated within the community. And it's a unique selling point of the software, or the service itself. I would say that if I have happy, supported employees, it's more likely that my customers are happy. Yeah. If I have a lot of unhappy employees, the chance that I'm not getting good service to my clients, I would say, is fairly high. Yeah. So the whole story starts with my employees, and we will always make things right for our customers. We will always fight for them, and employees first. I need to make sure that my employees are treated well, that they're okay with what they're doing every day. We're dealing with the good things and the bad things. We know how stressful sales can be. Right. So if they have a good playing field and good coaches or trainers, however you want to call them, the better they can actually serve the client at the end. No, and this needs to be a balance. I mean, certainly there's not a black and white or anything like that. No. But employees should go first.
Yeah. Interesting. So when you say customer centricity, and I know you're a strong supporter and believer in that, everything we talk about is always focus on customer outcomes for customers. How do we help them achieve better outcomes? How do we, have this outcome focused mindset? Now, in your opinion, does customer outcomes and customer centricity, do they go hand in hand? Do they have a connection, those two things with each other?
Yep. It's, I would say the outcome depends on how you want to define it. Right. This can be the outcome of an interaction, but it can also be the outcome of what comes later. So maybe let's go on the pre-sale side, for example. Right. I can have a prospect and maybe I can't find a deal. Yeah. But I can still be of service in making sure that I'm documenting everything, why it didn't happen, and give this, for example, to the product department. So we have a constant loop between our sales teams and our product teams and the sales teams, the wider sales teams. Yeah. How do we make anything better for them? This can be sales, this can be support, this can be service, but this is very much can also be the product. As part of our culture, one really big aspect is that we're builders. Yeah. So we're building something, be it the customer journey or be it the product itself for the end client.
It's interesting. It sounds like that mindset sort of includes that thinking of, during our conversations with the customers, we have to, almost co-create the solution together. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, very, very much. Very much. I mean, if we're talking value-based selling or solution selling, at the end, that's what it is. We don't sell a product. I don't even sell a service necessarily. I'm trying to figure out if whatever I'm selling matches with whatever the need of the client is. Yeah. Number one, very often the client doesn't know what they need. They know what they want. Right. but they might not know what they need. So we're trying to figure out what that is, and then we're matching to it. If we're a match, wonderful, we have a sale. If we're not matching, that's fine too. But finding that value, be it a business value, be it maybe we're saving costs for them, maybe we're solving employee unsatisfaction or something. But unearthing that should be a salesperson should be curious to actually figure out what that actually is.
Yeah. What, in your opinion, that's my second last question to you, and I'm curious about that, because you've touched on a number of elements, right? Sort of deal qualification. You didn't mention it, but it was sort of hidden in a couple of your answers. Deal qualification, making sure we're going after the right things. Sort of sales process is one thing that people need to follow. The culture that around that, and so forth, and then the conversational piece and so forth. You know, when we talk to customers, it's always the idea of we need to increase win rates. How do we increase our win rates? What, in your opinion, increases win rates most? Or in other words, what is it that you've seen companies do or not do to struggle with win rates?
It's a tough one because there's multi-angle, I would say, how you can take this. I actually start with qualification. I would say if you know getting into a deal that it's very unlikely that it will be closing, then it's a waste of time. And the question is, do you make this part of your win rate or not? So start with making sure that you have a good match to the need of a customer. If you don't, move on. It's fine. I see salespeople way too often that they're chasing something which cannot be won. On the other hand, also enable people that they can actually close quickly. I see this way too often that salespeople are so enabled on the technology side that they're talking and talking and talking, and they already sold it, but they're talking themselves out of deals. So finding a good balance between, okay, let's get the deal done, or if we can't get the deal done, that's fine, then let's find something else, actually.
I fully agree with you. And I would even take that a step further to say this idea of how do we create urgency in our opportunities, right? How do we in a way have, everybody has the ROI conversation, right? You know, if you use my piece, my tool, my whatever, then you're going to have an ROI of what, right? But really what people make decisions one out of two reasons. Right? Once to either to gain an outcome or to avoid a risk. If you can help me gain an outcome, all right, we'll have a conversation. If you can help me avoid a risk, we'll have a conversation. Anything else is really do nothing. So the idea of how do we really create urgency and have that cost of inaction conversation? That's what's going to be happening to you and your organization every month that you don't do this. Is that something that resonates with you?
Very, very much. And I would go further that outside of the ROI, salespeople should keep in mind that people buy from people.
Absolutely.
They buy from salespeople, and whatever story and journey they're creating, they're not just buying a product. If I do that, I can go to the homepage and just order it. There's a reason why we have a talk and a conversation with the client.
Right. Love it. You're absolutely right. My last question, Andre, and you've been a fabulous guest. Tell me about the top 3 qualities of elite salespeople in your opinion. What are those? And if you can rank them for me in your opinion in a priority 1, 2, and 3, what are those top 3 qualities that elite salespeople nowadays need to possess?
Yes. I would say number 1, and this would be, do we start with 3 or with 1?
Up to you.
Okay, I start with the most important one for me, and that's curiosity. Absolutely curiosity. It's do I actually have interest in my client? Goes back to finding out the need and having a problem-solving mindset. If I'm not interested in my client, it's unlikely that I will find the need of the client and what they actually have that I can solve for them. Number 2, actually, I would say culture. There need to be a cultural fit with the company. So we need to make that that loophole to the beginning, making sure that we have someone who is not necessarily ego driven. They're actually part of the company and how you're defining it. And number 3 is discipline and resilience. We know that there's a lot of rejection, there's a lot of momentum, and having just consistent execution and that push forward, we need that in sales. You need to be able to drive that sale at the end.
Well, lovely people, you heard it here from Andre. Curiosity, problem-solving mindset, a culture, and bring that culture that NinjaOne is implementing to scale, and really the discipline and resilience to be a great salesperson. That's what you need. Thank you, Andre. You were an excellent guest. I know our listeners very, very much appreciate your insights and your thought leadership. Thank you for taking the time.
And thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
My lovely people, 2 calls to action. Go to the B2B site, subscribe, and share this or other episodes with people who you think could benefit from Andre's insights here and learnings. Go to globalperformancegroup.com, check out our win rate package, which will be interesting. That covers similar things that we talked about today, about deal qualification as well as the cost of inaction conversation. Until the next episode, look after yourself, look after your loved ones, and of course, your B2B customers. All the very best. Bye-bye.